What do the kids say these days? This is diabolical. This is the nastiest of nasty work.
71 seconds. That's all it took for the WNBA to hand critics exactly what they'd been waiting for. A stretch of basketball so sloppy, so unwatchable, that fans didn't call it a highlight reel. They called it a circus act. It was supposed to be just another night of hoops, with the Fever and the Valkyries battling it out. But instead, it turned into what many are calling the worst display of professional basketball in history. Missed layups, botched passes, and defense that looked more like confusion than competition. Within hours, the clip went viral, spreading across social media faster than the league could contain it.
Warning, the following footage contains an unstoppable force.
The pass, stolen, Angel Reese.
A force in the paint.
This is what Angel does so well.
A force on the boards.
One of the most prolific rebounders our game has ever seen.
A force all over the court.
For a dagger, Angel Reese.
Angel Reese is a force, and your team is a very movable object. Viewer discretion is advised.
That's just Angel being...
Memes, edits, and brutal comparisons to middle school basketball flooded the internet. But here's the thing. This wasn't just a bad game. This was a moment that cut to the heart of the WNBA's biggest problem. And it's only getting worse.
Y'all ain't gonna believe. The WNBA has released an Angel Reese video. One of those warning videos. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched it. I was like, did I just get scent-tailed? Did I get scent-tailed?
Before those infamous 71 seconds set social media ablaze, there was already tension in the air surrounding the WNBA. This wasn't just about a single clip or a random game. The league had been building hype around its rising stars, pushing narratives and desperately trying to capture the attention of a skeptical sports world. And leading the charge in that campaign was none other than Angel Reese. The WNBA had painted Reese as an unstoppable force. Promotional videos described her dominance in the paint, her rebounding skills, and her presence on the court as though she was rewriting the physics of basketball.
The saga with the WNBA will continue, bruh, because it's looking more and more like Ripley's Circus than an actual basketball league.
An unstoppable force in motion stays in motion, the campaign boasted, trying to brand her as a player opponents couldn't contain. But this narrative clashed with reality fans had been watching all season. Her team sat at 9 wins and 30 losses. Her shooting efficiency wavered. Her turnover rate raised eyebrows. Still, the league seemed determined to push her as the face of a new era when the Fever matched up against the Valkyries. It was supposed to be another chance to showcase this so-called unstoppable energy. Broadcasters hyped it up, fans tuned in with expectations set, and the league saw it as an opportunity to highlight its stars. But those expectations quickly crumbled. What was meant to be a showcase turned into one of the most embarrassing stretches of play the league has ever delivered.
Off the glass.
How about steal number 4 for LA with a runway? Oh, she lost it going up. She was going to try to yam that one down.
I don't know if she's going to get in trouble for that one as she came back.
Even before the clip emerged online, the cracks were visible. Fans noticed sloppy execution, awkward plays, and an overall lack of intensity. Instead of seeing a product worthy of primetime coverage, they saw disorganization and lethargy. Commentators couldn't hide their discomfort as possession. Possession looked disjointed. For loyal fans, it was frustrating. For casual viewers, it was confirmation of every criticism they had heard about the league. But the real turning point came when those 71 seconds were clipped, packaged, and unleashed online.
When it comes to the WNBA, but guys, watch this here, bro. This is just one clip. Watch this. Watch this.
Off the glass.
Watch this, bro.
How about steal number...
Look at this. Coast to coast. Up, I'm finna dunk. Up, I'm not. Oh, my God.
Suddenly, the world wasn't looking at Angel Reese as a superstar in the making. Instead, the WNBA was being mocked for trying to sell hype that didn't match the reality on the floor. And with Caitlyn Clark out of action, there was no star power to offset the damage. The hype machine had backfired. Instead of inspiring fans, the promotional buildup only amplified the embarrassment. People didn't just see a bad game. They saw the collapse of a narrative that had been sold to them for weeks. And when that happens, the backlash isn't quiet. It's explosive, because if the buildup was supposed to cement Angel Reese and the league's reputation, the 71 seconds that followed did the exact opposite. And the fallout from that disaster would spread far beyond one game. But as bad as the hype was, the footage itself was even worse. And once people watched those 71 seconds, the ridicule reached a whole new level.
I'm not sure it just set women's basketball back. I think it may have set women's sports back. Like 94 years. I mean, serious. I'm picturing women now out in the field somewhere in 1882 holding their dresses up trying to kick a soccer ball. It's oh my God. Seriously.
The moment the clock started ticking on that infamous 71-second stretch, everything that could go wrong on a professional basketball court did. What should have been routine possessions spiraled into chaos, creating a clip that will haunt the WNBA for years to come. Fans weren't watching polished athletes execute plays. They were watching a series of mistakes strung together in real time. A collapse so painful that it became impossible to look away. It began with a turnover, the kind you'd expect from an inexperienced high school team, not professionals. The ball slipped into the wrong hands, setting off a sequence of awkward passes and missed assignments. Seconds later, a layup clanged off the rim with no defenders in sight. And before anyone could process it, another miss followed. The sensing the breakdown, capitalized with ease, drilling threes while the Fever scrambled to keep up. It wasn't a battle of equals. It looked like two teams playing entirely different sports. As the clip continued, the Fever's defense completely disintegrated. Guards were left stranded on the perimeter. Communication broke down, and rotations looked non-existent. The Valkyries sliced through them effortlessly, piling on points while the Fever stumbled around like they had no game plan. Each mistake compounded the last, turning the sequence into a comedy of errors. What should have been a professional showcase turned into what fans described as pickup ball after too many snacks. The body language of the players told the story just as loudly as the scoreboard. Shoulders slumped, eyes darted in frustration, and the pace of their movements screamed exhaustion. Instead of competing with urgency, the Fever looked defeated in the middle of the game. The clip highlighted not just a bad play or two, but an entire team that appeared unprepared, unfocused, and uninspired. By the time the horn sounded to end that stretch, the damage was irreversible. The clip had captured 71 seconds of pure dysfunction, no redeeming highlight, no sign of resilience, just a spiral of unforced errors. It was the kind of footage critics dream about, proof that their harshest takes on the WNBA had merit. And as soon as it hit the internet, the ridicule was merciless. The worst part was that this wasn't an isolated moment hidden in a long game. It was short, sharp, and easy to share. Social media thrives on bite-sized disasters, and the 71 seconds fit perfectly into that mold. Fans replayed it endlessly, laughing at every miscue, clipping it with music, and spreading it across platforms. What should have been forgotten as a bad night turned into the most memorable lowlight of the season. The WNBA wanted to showcase stars and market a product that could compete with the best. Instead, it delivered a viral embarrassment that made fans question whether the league deserved to be taken seriously. And if the play itself wasn't damning enough, the reaction online was even harsher, turning 71 seconds of bad basketball into a cultural punchline. The moment those 71 seconds hit the internet, the reaction was immediate and brutal. What the WNBA might have brushed off as just another bad stretch quickly spiraled into a full-blown crisis as fans, critics, and even casual observers piled on. The clip didn't just circulate, it exploded, turning into a viral spectacle that spread across Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook within hours. Everyone had something to say, and almost none of it was kind. Comment sections lit up with ruthless comparisons. Some called it elementary school basketball at best, while others claimed local high school teams would run circles around both squads. One fan described it as the worst 71 seconds of organized basketball ever recorded. And the comment gained traction as thousands echoed the sentiment. Parody edits soon followed, with users overlaying Benny Hill chase music, or circus themes, to match the chaos on the court. What was supposed to be professional, basketball was now being framed as slapstick comedy. The frustration wasn't just about the bad play, it was about the league's ongoing credibility. Issues. Fans were tired of being told they were watching high-level competition, while the product on display often looked like the opposite. The WNBA's promotional push around Angel Reese made things even worse. Viewers questioned how someone marketed as an unstoppable force could be part of such a disaster. Critics highlighted her turnovers, missed layups, and poor defense as symbolic of the larger problem. The hype didn't match reality. The backlash quickly shifted from ridicule to outright anger. Hashtags like defund the WNBA trended in pockets of the internet, with users arguing that the league was propped up by media hype rather than fan demand. Others joked that they deserved refunds just for sitting through the clip. Some even claimed the sequence set women's sports back nearly a century, mocking the idea that this level of play was deserving of primetime coverage. Even WNBA supporters struggled to defend the footage. While some tried to blame fatigue or game context, the majority conceded that the sequence was indefensible. For casual viewers who rarely tuned in, the viral clip served as confirmation of every criticism they'd heard before, that the league was unwatchable, that the skill gap was glaring, and that the marketing machine was overselling a weak product. And the damage didn't stop there. Sports talk shows picked up the clip. Late-night comedians joked about it, and reaction channels dissected it frame by frame. The WNBA had unintentionally handed its harshest critics a weapon, a short, dicily shareable moment that embodied everything detractors said about the league. What stung the most wasn't just the embarrassment, it was how quickly the narrative slipped out of the league's control. Instead of highlighting talent, the conversation became about incompetence. Instead of inspiring new fans, the clip repelled them. And as the mockery spread, one question lingered. If 71 seconds could cause this much damage, what would happen the next time the league stumbled? Because the internet never forgets, and the WNBA had just become its favorite punchline. While the viral clip itself embarrassed the WNBA, the fallout became even worse once fans connected it back to the league's heavy-handed promotion of Angel Reese. In the weeks leading up to the game, the WNBA had rolled out flashy highlight packages branding Reese as an unstoppable force. Dramatic narration promised that defenders would learn physics the hard way when facing her in the paint. The campaign was meant to elevate her into the spotlight, positioning her as the face of a new generation. But once the footage of those 71 seconds dropped, the narrative completely collapsed. Fans didn't just laugh at the clip, they held it up as proof that the league was selling them a false product. Social media erupted with comments asking where all the unstoppable force moments were when Reese struggled with missed layups and turnovers. Memes juxtaposed the WNBA's glowing promotion with her stat line: second in turnovers despite playing fewer games, averaging nearly 4 giveaways per night, and shooting inconsistently at best. Critics pointed out that she had more turnovers than assists, and a team record of 9 wins and 30 losses. Hardly the resume of a dominant star, what stung even more was the comparison to Caitlyn Clark. Fans highlighted that Clark, standing 6 feet tall, averaged more blocked shots than Reese, who is 6'4". That single stat became a rallying point for critics, who argued the WNBA was force-feeding audiences a star who didn't deserve the hype. Instead of convincing casual fans that Reese was elite, the league's narrative backfired, painting her as the poster child for exaggerated marketing. The backlash wasn't just personal, it became symbolic. To many, Angel Reese represented the league's broader problem, a willingness to push storylines that didn't align with reality. Viewers resented being told they were watching an unstoppable force when the numbers told a different story. Once the 71-second disaster hit the internet, those doubts turned into ridicule. The WNBA had handed critics the perfect clip to mock both Reese and the league's credibility in one shot. Even Reese's supporters struggled to spin the situation. While some argued that one bad game shouldn't define her career, others admitted the promotional campaign had set her up for failure. By putting so much weight on her shoulders before she proved herself on the court, the league had created impossible expectations. Every missed shot, every turnover, and every viral lowlight now carried twice the weight, because it directly contradicted the branding. Instead of elevating Angel Reese into superstardom, the unstoppable force narrative became a punchline. Fans no longer saw it as inspiring, They saw it as false advertising. And in the unforgiving world of online sports culture, perception is everything. The very campaign designed to build her legacy had instead turned her into the centerpiece of the league's most humiliating moment. But the fallout didn't stop with Angel. The backlash soon grew into something much larger, a reckoning with the WNBA's entire marketing strategy. The humiliation of those 71 seconds didn't just highlight poor basketball, it exposed a marketing strategy that has haunted the WNBA for years. The league has consistently tried to manufacture stars instead of letting them naturally emerge, and the Angel Reese fiasco was the clearest example yet. By pouring resources into flashy videos, dramatic taglines, and exaggerated claims, the WNBA thought it could create a superstar out of thin air. But when the on-court product failed to match the promotion, fans felt duped. This isn't a new problem. The league has long relied on media partners like ESPN to push storylines that casual fans don't always buy into. Instead of focusing on authentic competition, broadcasts often center on narratives of empowerment, rivalries, and must-see matchups. The issue is that when the basketball doesn't deliver, those storylines ring hollow. The 71-second clip was damning not just because it was sloppy, but because it directly contradicted the image ESPN and the WNBA had spent weeks selling. Fans are sharper than the league gives them credit for. They can tell when they're being oversold, and they don't appreciate it. Comments flooding social media after the viral clip weren't just mocking the play, they were mocking the marketing machine behind it. Phrases like false advertising and stop forcing stars on us became rallying cries. It wasn't just about Angel Reese missing shots, it was about the WNBA promising dominance and delivering chaos. The absence of Caitlyn Clark only made matters worse. With Clark sidelined, the league leaned even harder into promoting Reese, trying to fill the vacuum left by its most marketable player. But this desperation was transparent, and fans called it out immediately. Viewers noted that instead of celebrating actual performance, the league seemed intent on propping up whoever fit its preferred image, regardless of results. That choice backfired when Reese became the face of the worst viral moment in league history. The danger of this approach is long-term damage. Every time the WNBA sells hype that doesn't hold up, it chips away at fan trust. Sports audiences want authenticity. They'll rally behind underdogs, embrace flawed heroes, and even love players who struggle, as long as it feels real. But they won't tolerate being lied to. By doubling down on narratives that don't align with reality, the league risks alienating both its core base and potential new fans. The viral backlash proved the marketing problem can't be ignored. For years, critics have said the WNBA relies more on media spin than on its actual product. The 71 seconds of embarrassment confirmed those suspicions in the worst way possible. Now, every highlight package and every promotional video will be scrutinized against the reality on the court. And unless the WNBA changes its approach, fans won't just mock the players, they'll mock the league itself. But if the marketing blunder was damaging, the comparisons that followed were devastating. Because once Caitlyn Clark's name entered, the conversation, the contrast, made Angel Reese and the WNBA's hype machine look even worse. The fallout from those 71 seconds grew louder when fans inevitably brought Caitlyn Clark into the conversation. Clark, even while sidelined, loomed over the league as the one player who consistently moved the needle. Her name was trending on social media right alongside the viral clip, and the comparisons between her and Angel Reese quickly turned brutal. Statistically, the contrast was glaring. While the WNBA tried to push Angel Reese as an unstoppable force, the numbers didn't back it up. She averaged nearly 4 turnovers a game, held one of the highest turnover totals in the league, and struggled with efficiency around the rim. Meanwhile, fans pointed out that Clark, standing 6 feet tall, averaged more blocks than Reese, who is 6'4". That single stat went viral, symbolizing what many already believed. Clark brought more to the court, both in performance and excitement, than Reese did, despite the size difference. Beyond the numbers, the energy Clark injected into the league was undeniable. She consistently drew record-breaking ratings, sold out arenas, and attracted fans who had never before paid attention to women's basketball. Reese, on the other hand, generated headlines more for controversy than for dominance. Fans criticized her body language, her her missed opportunities, and her tendency to rack up turnovers in key moments. When people compared the two side by side, it wasn't just about skill, it was about impact. Clark was building the league's audience. Reese, critics argued, was dragging it down. The online discourse became vicious. Memes mocked the WNBA's decision to market Reese so heavily, while Clark was sidelined. The league promoted the wrong player, one comment read, echoing the frustration of many fans who felt the league had chosen image over performance. Others joked that Clark's absence during the 71-second disaster proved her value. Even more, if this was what the WNBA looked like without her, then it was clear who the real face of the league should be, even those trying to defend. Reese couldn't escape the shadow of the comparison. Every turnover, every missed layup, and every viral clip was magnified because of the contrast to Clark's precision, court vision, and star power. And while rivalries are often good for sports, this one didn't feel like a healthy competition. It felt like the league was forcing a narrative that fans weren't buying, setting Reese up for failure while unintentionally elevating Clark even further. The damage was twofold. On one hand, Reese became the scapegoat for the league's struggles. On the other, the WNBA exposed just how dependent it was on Caitlyn Clark to maintain credibility and relevance. Without her on the floor, the product fell flat and fans noticed. What started as a viral embarrassment for Reese quickly snowballed into a referendum on the league's future. The comparisons to Clark weren't just harsh, they were damning, and they raised a bigger question. If the WNBA can't thrive without Clark, what happens the next time she's not around to carry it? Because the backlash wasn't only about players, it was about the league's identity. And that identity was crumbling. When those 71 seconds of chaos went viral, the WNBA wasn't just battling bad basketball, it was battling a full-blown public relations nightmare. Sports leagues spend millions trying to shape narratives, control images, and protect their brands. But in this case, the WNBA handed its harshest critics the perfect weapon, a clip so embarrassing it did the work for them. Within hours, what should have been forgotten as a sloppy stretch of play became the defining moment of the season. Critics who had long dismissed the league seized the opportunity. Talk shows mocked the clip, reaction videos dissected every turnover, and social media drowned in parody edits. ESPN, which had invested heavily in WNBA coverage, suddenly looked complicit for promoting a product that many fans now compared to middle school basketball. The league's credibility wasn't just questioned, it was shredded. To the casual sports fan who only saw the viral footage, the WNBA wasn't a professional league. It was a punchline. The public relations disaster was magnified by timing. With Caitlyn Clark sidelined, the league needed to keep momentum alive. But instead, it showcased a disaster reel that confirmed every negative stereotype. Critics pointed to the footage as proof that without Clark, the WNBA couldn't deliver a watchable product. This narrative quickly spread beyond hardcore sports circles into mainstream pop culture, where perception matters more than context. Even those who never watched a full game felt confident mocking the league. What made the damage worse was how quickly the clip eroded trust in the WNBA's messaging. Fans had just seen Angel Reese labeled an unstoppable force in glossy promotions. Now they were watching her struggle in real time, and the contrast made the league look dishonest. Viewers felt tricked, sold a product that didn't match the advertising. In sports, authenticity is everything, and once the audience suspects they're being misled, it's nearly impossible to win them back. The impact wasn't limited to reputation alone. Sponsorships, already difficult to secure, suddenly seemed more fragile. Why would brands attach themselves to a league trending for all the wrong reasons? Television networks, too, couldn't ignore the backlash. When fans openly joked that high school games were more entertaining, it raised uncomfortable questions about ratings and future investments. Inside the league, players and coaches may have brushed it off as just one bad stretch, but outside the bubble, perception was set. The WNBA wasn't being talked about for competition, rivalries, or athleticism. It was being ridiculed as a circus act. That shift in narrative cut deeper than any single loss because it undermined the league's fight for legitimacy. 71 seconds proved how fragile the WNBA's public image really is. Years of effort to grow the brand were undone by just over a minute of basketball. And unless the league finds a way to shift the conversation, this viral embarrassment could define not just a season, but an entire era. The next question became unavoidable. Could the WNBA recover from this humiliation, or had it already crossed the point of no return? The 71 seconds of disaster may have lasted less than 2 minutes, but the ripple effects could shape the WNBA for years to come. Sports leagues live and die on perception, and the WNBA's problem is that this viral moment didn't just showcase bad basketball, it highlighted the league's most glaring weaknesses: credibility, star power, and audience trust. Now, the question hanging over the league is whether it can recover or whether this was the tipping point in today's sports landscape. Every moment is magnified by social media. A viral highlight can elevate a player to superstardom overnight, but a viral lowlight can bury an entire brand. The WNBA found itself on the wrong side of that equation. Instead of celebrating athleticism or drama, fans shared the clip as comedy. Instead of showcasing growth, the league became a meme. Once that happens, rebuilding respect becomes an uphill climb. The first consequence may be with the fans themselves. Loyal supporters will likely stay, but casual viewers, the ones the WNBA desperately needs to convert, may walk away for good. If their first exposure to the league is 71 seconds of chaos branded as professional basketball, why would they return? Worse, those casual viewers now carry an impression that could take years to undo. The WNBA isn't just competing with itself, it's competing with the NBA, college basketball, and every other sports product that feels more polished. Sponsorships and media deals are another concern. Brands want to attach themselves to moments of triumph, not ridicule. If the league becomes synonymous with poor quality and failed marketing, those sponsorship dollars could dry up. Networks like ESPN, which have already been accused of forcing WNBA coverage, may find it harder to justify giving the league premium slots when clips mocking the product go viral. The league can't afford to alienate the very partners it relies on for survival. For the players, the fallout could cut both ways. Caitlyn Clark's stock will continue to rise since her absence highlighted how much the league needs her. Angel Reese, meanwhile, risks becoming the face of the viral disaster. Fair or not, fans will remember her name alongside that clip, and every future mistake will be magnified through the lens of that embarrassment. The rivalry between the two may keep headlines alive. But if one player is constantly associated with failure, the league risks alienating fans instead of uniting them. Ultimately, the WNBA must decide what kind of league it wants to be. Does it keep doubling down on hype and narrative, hoping fans eventually buy in? Or does it pivot toward authenticity, letting stars prove themselves on the court before crowning them as legends? The answer could determine whether the league grows or fades into irrelevance. Because here's the hard truth. If the WNBA doesn't learn from this viral humiliation, the next clip won't just spark laughter. It could signal the beginning of the end for the league's future. 71 seconds may not sound like much, but in the world of sports, it was enough to shake the foundation of an entire league. What should have been forgotten as a sloppy stretch turned into the WNBA's worst nightmare. A viral circus act that exposed every flaw critics had warned about. The marketing hype around Angel Reese crumbled. Comparisons to Caitlyn Clark became unavoidable, and fans were left questioning whether the league could be taken seriously at all. Instead of drawing in new audiences, the clip repelled them, turning casual curiosity into outright mockery. And while the WNBA can still recover, it will take more than glossy promos and forced narratives. It will take authenticity, accountability, and real performance on the court. Because one thing is certain, if the league ignores this lesson, the next viral moment might not just embarrass the WNBA, it could define it forever.